Hello, this is Dr. K. Paul Stoller to address a subject that few are aware of. When two people come together in physical intimacy, something deeper than the physical unfolds. Two bodies meet, two histories merge, and a new field of energy is created, a matrix, an identity that did not exist before their union. We rarely speak of this, but every lover you touch touches you back, not just in the moment, but in the imprint they leave on your emotional body. There's no such thing as casual sex, not in any emotional or energetic reality. Because the moment you open yourself to another, you are also opening to their past, their trauma, their unresolved pain, and their hope, all of it. Call it an energetic inheritance, or call it what it often feels like. An energetic STD, because so many of us are in a state of dis-ease. Sex is not just physical, it is merging of nervous systems, hormones, and subtle fields of identity. And when intimacy is entered unconsciously, we don't just share pleasure, we share wounding. It is an aspect of having a high body count never taken into consideration. The pleasure lasts, but the wounding lasts far longer. This is why cultures throughout history treated sexual union as sacred, not because they feared desire, but because they understood the power of it. They knew intimacy binds consciousness. It changes people, it shapes who we become. For eons, we lived as hunter-gatherers, and having a child at the wrong time or with the wrong man could severely impact on one's chances for survival. But in today's world, sex has been stripped of reverence. The hookup culture tells us it's recreational, just bodies, just fun, just no strings. But the heart does not work that way. The psyche does not work that way. The soul does not work that way. Only the ego works that way. And most will have to learn this the hard way. The sexual revolution was liberating, and it truly was, but it also handed women off to psychopathic men. At the same time, women were encouraged to sacrifice having a family for money. Actually, they were told they could have career and family and do both well, which was a lie. The fear of being irrelevant is a primal one. In ancient tribes, members who were no longer useful were often abandoned. This fear of banishment drives the modern fear of missing out, or FOMO. Seeking external validation through promiscuity is a dysfunctional way to mitigate this fear, offering only a faux sense of relevance. But many women will prioritize their sexual dalliances even above their children. That is, how deep this fear is. But there are other forces to consider: emotional and psychological energies that move through and around us. Some nourish, some drain. When a person surrenders their will to addiction or despair, their life force becomes vulnerable. What is unresolved in them can enter the one who opens themselves to them. This is not superstition. It is human pattern. It is nervous system entrainment. It is trauma bonding. It is spiritual permeability. And this is why discernment matters. This is why protecting one's virtue matters. The only really tangible thing a woman can bring to the table of a long-term relationship will be her loyalty. A woman who has seen more gherkins than a cucumber farmer can't be sexually loyal to one man. That is just a statistical fact. That is why a woman's past matters to men just as much as a man's future matters to women. Intimacy is not something to fall into. It is something to choose with awareness, with reverence, with a clear sense of self. To treat intimacy as sacred is not old-fashioned. It is self-respect. But there is the rub. How many young people have self-respect? Self-respect measured via self-esteem, self-worth, autonomy, and boundary setting is lower in Gen Z and young millennials than in prior generations. 30-40% report low self-esteem versus 20% in boomers, Gen X. If there is no self-respect, there is no self-love either. They go hand in hand. If we knew who we really were, we would honor our energy, our hearts, and our futures. When you understand that every union shapes you, You begin to choose partners whose presence strengthens you, whose touch grounds you, whose love builds you. In a world that teaches us to consume one another, choosing to love consciously is an act of rebellion and awakening. Choose carefully who you interact with, choose carefully who you are becoming, and remember, regret in later life will not make up for early life choices.